Welcome to our best of 5 finals of this WardiTV Spring Championship Preliminary Cup. In the bottom left, our pink Protoss player is Zest, and he's going to be a tough opponent for our red Terran upper right corner ByuN, who did beat Zest in the WardiTV Winter Championship main tournament in the winner bracket, where he continued through to make a top 3 finish. Was it top 3, top 4? I think it was top 3. Top 3 finish for ByuN there. Zest dropping out a little bit earlier on in that tournament. And here they are in the Spring Championship preliminaries. So just to set the scene a little bit, is this is the final. So the winner of this just straight up qualifies. But there's also points on the line. Now, unfortunately for ByuN, he didn't play in any of the previous events, so he doesn't already have points. And because the point cutoff is only going to be 2 players that qualify from points, ByuN is not in a position to qualify from points. So for ByuN to qualify into the main tournament, ByuN must win this series and gain the direct qualification. Zest is qualified either way. If Zest loses, he has enough points to qualify. If Zest wins, he gets direct qualification. Obviously, whoever wins here is going to have an impact on who else qualifies, though, because if Zest doesn't qualify via points, there are other players on points that then get knocked down and won't qualify. Whereas if Zest just directly qualifies, he doesn't qualify via points, those players are then going to be second place on points, and they're going to be able to qualify instead. So, it's actually kind of, this match has a lot of importance. For Zest, a little bit more chill. He's already qualified, guaranteed. Of course, he's playing still playing for the prize money today. $100 first place, $50 for second place. And of course, the third and fourth place finishes today also took home $25 each. So they also take home a little bit of cash for their efforts and, for coming so far and for getting so close. And this starts the game with a little bit of a dodgy pylon out to that left side. This serves a couple of purposes. It's one of those things where if the Reaper does dive by and sees a missing pylon, you worry about a proxy. If you don't, then this is actually still later in the game also going to provide you vision for like medevac drops and so on, or for Raven moving in, a Widow Mine drop coming in. So there's a few reasons to actually get that pylon out on the left-hand side of the map early on here. So that's definitely a benefit. There's a couple Stalkers push across. So obviously I mentioned a Reaper, but there is no Reaper in this game. ByuN opening with that Marine-focused opener. He's very fond of that. We just talked about this in his semi-final matchup, but he really is a player that likes to really commit to the Marine-focused opening. Doesn't feel the value off of the Reaper so much, it would seem. Doesn't feel as though he gets enough value off of committing into that versus just having a faster factory, a faster starport, because you haven't invested gas into a Reaper. And that just kind of plays into ByuN's playstyle in general. He's a very aggressive player. He gets on the map. He gets aggressive a lot. As these three Marines continue to rally together. Tech Lab drops down on this barracks, and a siege tank building on the factory as well. It's going to be seeing our units rallying out here down towards this natural now. Blink is about to finish up on the Twilight Council. A couple of additional Stalkers going to warp in. And it looks as though we do have ourselves this 4-gate setup from Zest, so he's going to get very aggressive moving across the map. And ByuN, who's on like a very fast bio setup, has a couple of tanks and Marines. I feel like ByuN does not really want to be in the middle of the map here, as he is going to see the Prism coming across, and he's going to see the Stalkers too. And immediately ByuN says, yep, I don't want to be here. He just salvaged his bunker though, so he's just given up some of his potential defenses. Yeah, ByuN's also building a depot that's blocking his siege tank from getting to the high ground. And that's obviously an issue as well, so ByuN's realizing that he's in a little bit of trouble right now. He does get that tank back to the high ground. What's good about this is it covers the natural and covers the main. And because on Jagannath there's only really one blink-up spot, that tank's not immediately in trouble from the blink-up. If you blink here, you have to take a step forward at least to kill it off, so that is something as the Marines are rallying toward the main right now. Prism has a look, sees where the tank is. This next tank's nicely placed as well. It covers both of the other tanks, and that's huge too. Because what that means is now you've got coverage on this tank and coverage on this tank, so if you blink on one of them, those Stalkers are still going to be taking a bit of a beating. ByuN's going to put it a bit further forward just in case the Stalkers walk at the front, which is also, still the same idea. You still cover this, around this area, the blink on this tank. You still cover those defensive positions you need to hold, so yeah, ByuN's getting away with that salvage bunker. And a lot of this is because as well he went straight into tank production. He didn't waste time with Widow Mines or anything along those lines this game. He just went straight into siege tanks, and because of that, his siege tank count's a little higher than you'd usually expect. And because of that, he's able to just have the defense set up at the start anyways, despite no bunker, etc. Yeah, it's a little risky third location. Generally, you put in the third here, because it does obviously lead you to the third location down here. It's less flight time once you lift that CC up and fly it across. But, yeah, that's a little tough still, because if these stalkers blink up here, if they do find that chance, then this is obviously an easy target. Well, Zest back at home, realizing he doesn't have much more chance with these stalkers. He started to tack up, and he's already made his way into the Colossus. So Colossus coming through. Just going to be seeing the third CC coming in as well. And, yeah, I mean, both players are going up to 3 bases. I said 3 CC a couple times, but obviously Zest is on the third base also. Yeah, I don't think this is bad for ByuN. Obviously, Zest slowed down his economy initially to try and be aggressive with these stalkers. You know, typically a third Nexus could have been up a long time by now if he had just gone for 2 or 3 gate blink opening. Just gonna see the single stalker pushing through and a Marine. Gonna get pushed back as well. A few more units gonna gather together. Just going to be seeing a couple of tanks starting to fire. Bioforce is starting to move through, and just going to see the Stalkers of Zest push back down to the center. This is going to be kind of a repeated story, I feel, here, as the Bio even stims in, really wants to just push Zest back and say, you know, let me get across the map. As he's kept some Bio back here, he's got the Marines, and, yeah. Zest realizes that ByuN's controlling them as well, so ByuN was ready to hold these back, let the Prism commit in, and stim on top of it, but doesn't quite work out too well for him, as ByuN's now going to start lifting up drops and sending them out. ByuN's current army supply is pretty scary, and Zest is actually on the map as this drop will come down the left-hand side. Potential for some serious damage there is this Prism is kind of going to see this army on the right as well. Obviously, this Prism providing some pretty good info for Zest, who's going to run into a group of units of ByuN over here, and ByuN's probably realizing, uh-oh, that's problematic. However, this drop goes into the main base, and as I said, it's going to be able to get quite a lot done if ByuN can focus it and actually use it correctly right now. Okay, he just started focus a pylon. The probes have run away. He's going to start getting the Nexus. He's actually still kind of flying over here as well. Zest is sending some units forward, some units back. And this is a bit of a messy affair as well. The ByuNs have gone down now. The tanks in the background, though, are going to help out. Can ByuN get a defense as he's killing off all the pylons? The goal here is to supply block Zest. Or if you can't supply block him, even just depowering the gateways, right? No more production for Zest is going to be available. As ByuN is then going to try and defend this. He's going to kind of just try and base trade altogether. So he just wants to put Zest into a base trade of the worst possible situation. Zest is going to recall home. Did he just kill the third CC? I think he just killed the third CC. Problem with that is ByuN is going to get out of here to begin with. And he's got units on the third base, so he's potentially going to kill the third base here anyway. So it's going to be a third base for third base. He's going to siege the tanks. He's going to burrow the mines. I don't mind this at all. It's going to make it difficult to jump on this army. ByuN is still playing dangerous game because of that, but the thing is, here ByuN as well is the one that can still build stuff, whereas Zest has to wait for all these pylons to come up. The Stalkers blink in, and from the back side, meaning the Widow Mines are not going to go off here. All of these Widow Mines are going to go down. That is huge. Zest gets a good cleanup. That was the fight he needed, really. If he blinked in from the left side and those Widow Mines go off, all those Stalkers blow up, and that's obviously a disaster. And Zest will lose a few more probes. He's got his gateways coming back online. He's going to be able to spend some of that money he had banked up. And as ByuN going to escape away with these couple of medevacs, hop up into the main base. Stalker's still trying to chase those down. Maybe one gets out of there alive. ByuN is already rallying new units to the third Nexus. He scans bottom right, double checks there's no fourth base. Okay, he's actually going to back it up again. Problem for ByuN is he doesn't really have an army to fight 3 Colossi, so if Zest really commits to an engagement, ByuN doesn't have a straight-up fight to win this, I don't think. And he's not doing anything to set up into a straight-up fight that wins this either. He's continuing to drop around. He's looking for another round of counterattacks to keep this game weird, and to keep this game potentially in his favor just by being aggressive on the map, etc. There's a lot of Protoss moving forward right now. ByuN is going to be looking to defend in the main base. Zest is already moving in the natural, so ByuN needs to get some serious damage done this time. Zest will not have a recall for a little while, and he does potentially have reinforcements to warp in back at home, but he's actually going to get supply block now, so now he can't warp in anything back at home. ByuN's going to fill back to the corner of his main. Can he evacuate anything here? He'll be able to get the 2 medevacs out, perhaps. Depends what he wants to try and bring with it. He's going to try and get this orbital out alive. He'll stim in and try and trade out with whatever he can at the moment. SCV is moving forward to try and be the tank. In the end, ByuN realizes maybe it is just best to lift and get out of there, as he has put Zest down to no bases. A few probes are going to sneak onto the map, though. Widow Mines see it happening. And I think ByuN realizes that the rest of the probes are gone, but he didn't really see which way they went, and they are escaping away. The medevac might see it, so ByuN knows where those probes are. Is this all the probes of Zest? It's 15 of them. Okay, and ByuN has some units here to catch them as well, so he is going to chase these probes down. This is really important because it stops the base trade potentially going in Zest's favor by being able to rebuild a Nexus. ByuN does have a command center still on the map as he continues to clean out Zest's main base. Zest has already set up a Nexus, I believe. Yes, down over here, so taking one of the fresher bases. As, yeah, the center is full on base trade mode. ByuN is down to 5 workers against the 14, though, so if they both have to end up rebuilding here, well, 14, maybe make that 10. Okay, if they both have to rebuild here, Zest has that little advantage. Now, Zest is actually just going to find the orbital command. Uh-oh. Yeah, ByuN's just been floating that around in the middle of the map, right? He does have the SCVs, and he does have the potential to build a new command center. So that's exactly what he was going to go for. He's going to build that here. I think he wanted to try and hide it from Zest, but he just decides to put it down. He does have production still floating around as well. He's moving around with this army. He's trying to figure out where Zest's base is. It's right over here, of course. Of course, ByuN doesn't know that. He knows the pylon is there, though. He saw that when Zest was revealed. So ByuN is going to know where Zest is. Having to rebuild the CC kind of sucks. Takes away a little bit of time where he would have been able to mine anyway. And again, this is a fresher base from Zest as he builds a bunch of batteries. So ByuN probably can't win this game by breaking down this location. What ByuN does have in his favor is the production hasn't been killed. So because his production's still alive, he doesn't have to reinvest into that. So that is a positive side of this. As oh no, 3 SCVs. That's just 3 SCVs. That's like the majority of ByuN's economy. That's 60% of the eco ByuN had available to him. Oh no, I think ByuN's gonna try and push across the map and fight. I don't think that's gonna go very well for him because Zest is on multiple batteries. I don't think you can fight this at all. He's got the Nexus. He's gonna have a super battery. I think Zest is gonna win this base trade. Pretty crazy little situation here as the sentry gets taken down. Those few units go down. He tries to dive into the front. Wooden Mines do get burrowed up and they actually put some decent damage out, but it's not a fight that ByuN is going to win. GG. Zest wins it in the crazy base trade. This felt very good for ByuN. He just couldn't quite save the SCVs and the command centers like Zest by finals. Up 1-0. In the bottom left is that pink Protoss player Zest. Taking on the red Terran in the top right-hand side. It is ByuN. Alright, so you're getting to this second map. Man, this feels a little rough for ByuN, though. I feel like that's a map he really wanted to take a map on. Could be, you know, this could change the pacing of this entire series. Down a map here, ByuN. Again, he must win this series to qualify into the main event. He must win this series to qualify into the main event, as we do have our Rax and our gas coming up. Again, Zest is qualified anyway. He's just playing for prize money today, or there's no seeding, so no better seed or anything. Oh, it's tough, isn't it? It's scary. It is a little scary as we get ourselves up and running. Probe is producing on the Nexus. A couple of workers jumping into the assimilator. Let's go ByuN, says Gatya in the chat. No, I like I said, I'm always a bit of a Terran fanboy, and ByuN's one of my favorite players. But it would be nice to see ByuN qualify through, because I think realistically I have to invite a Zerg player to actually play in the tournament. So I can't save ByuN with an invite, you know. I can't just be like, it's okay, ByuN, I got you, buddy. I can't pull that one off in this setup today, unfortunately. So, yeah, ByuN's gonna have to win this himself if he wants to try and play the main event. Just invite him? I don't think I can invite him, man. There's only one Zerg in the tournament right now on the Korean side of things. I don't feel like I could justify not inviting a second Zerg, you know? I feel like we need a Zerg player, an additional Zerg player. Otherwise, we're going to be overrun with TvT and TvP. I know, it's sad, but that's okay, because I believe he's going to qualify anyway. You know? I believe he's going to qualify anyway. It is rough, though, because that was definitely the kind of game he could win. It was looking good for him, but that Protoss army was just a little bit too strong in the end, and, you know, even if it's tough, right, but He lost the orbitals, he had to rebuild a CC. It really came down to Zest being able to escape the probes. That was a massive play. He hit them in the corner, he ran them out. ByuN just caught sight of them, but being able to get them through an acceleration zone actually got them to survive and get out of there. That was massive. That was actually a really big deal, as Zest will have the Stargate finishing here. Oracle will start up and is going to rally out onto the map. Invite Reynor. Well, I mean, Reynor's in a separate region. This is the Korean server event, so it would come down to a Korean Zerg player that would be invited. The European section is separate to the Korean section for the group stages. Just gets a shade up, and we do have the depot. Gonna drop down a little bit. He kind of wanted that Adept to go in, I feel like. He's like, come on, come play. Oracle shows up, dies for a Marine, sees the Widow Mine, so he backs away from it, and will just skirt around the edges here. Looking for SCVs. There's two SCVs in this corner for whatever reason. The one building the depot, but the other one was just stood next to it. It was rallied badly. Maybe because the depot was low and he was rallied to minerals or so. It's just this Oracle into Phoenix production. Oh, and ByuN is building Banshee. That's a very risky play, especially when there's a freaking Oracle and an Oracle around. You don't know about the Phoenix yet, but when the Oracle is even seen as a tech lab on the starport. Now, of course, a lot of the time the assumption here is going to be that this turns into a, Raven, setup. Zest, if you can just see that cloak, it's going to give everything up. The thing is, if you can get away with it without Zest realizing, it's massive. But there's the revelation, and now Zest knows. And now you're going to see this Banshee popping out, and there's just, how do you put this Banshee to use when Zest knows there's Banshees on the map? I mean, to me, the best part of this was going to be the idea of being able to kind of fake this out as a Raven, then you actually come in with a couple Banshees, and maybe there's only one Oracle for detection, and all of these things that could become a problem. Now that's not really the case. Zest just gets batteries in each mineral line. I feel like Zest, this almost might be still like a secondary bluff, because I feel like Zest doesn't quite believe Cloak is still building here, right? I think Zest might just assume that this is no longer a thing. Because why would you still build Banshees in this scenario? It's almost like, it's basically a suicidal unit. What are you going to do against Phoenix and an Oracle? And yeah, ByuN doesn't just build two, he's going to build a third. He is building a third CC. He is going into, barracks behind this as well. And he is right now starting to push. This first Banshee's going to show up, but there's a battery here. So what can you really do with the battery in play? He's going to start trying to kill the battery. Okay, well, this gets interesting because, like I say, there are, batteries in each mineral line. This first Oracle revelation comes in. Banshee doesn't even get the battery. Second battery building anyway. I mean, ByuN's pushing down to the third location. Charge isn't done yet, so I mean, there is something to be said about this position right now. A lot of Phoenix lifts available. Now a Banshee into the natural. Maybe flies by toward the main. I mean, he's just going to try and pull the units out of position with this Banshee, but at the front, it's not exactly going well for him. The tanks get shut down immediately, and yeah, I mean, yeah, it just feels like this Banshee doesn't do anything either. Was there a third Banshee built? Yes, there was. But now you only have one Banshee, so one Banshee doesn't one-shot work as anything. I know the Banshees definitely gave ByuN the position, but I feel like this was a position he never was able to take advantage of anyway, so the better call might have just been to wait for two Banshees together, because in fairness, Zest was out of position for the Banshees, so maybe you could have used the army to create an opportunity for both the Banshees together, and then maybe you would have gotten a bunch of worker kills, and maybe this turns out to be okay. All of that said, ByuN's actually ahead on workers, so that part of this is good, but he's got like no army supply left over. Phoenix is going to fly up into the main base, going to turn it back around. I mean, additional Zealots just kind of coming up this ramp and looking to maybe charge on in. Back off a little bit. USCV's going down. Zealots just going to charge in the natural. I don't see how ByuN really defends against this as the tank goes down. Mine's going to burrow up. And unburrow, and somehow this isn't actually that much damage done. And across the map, oh my god, this Banshee actually got a couple of probes. Okay, I mean, it's kind of crazy, but ByuN has survived, and he's going to get to a third CC, only 4 workers behind. What a way, I mean, he was on the verge of death right here, I'm convinced of it. What a way to survive for ByuN, and that's going to keep him going, as this medevac needs to miss these Phoenix. He needs to get some pressure on the map, because I'm still, it's weird, because, like, to me, the worker count says he's okay. Of course, these Phoenix should be able to get, like, a ton of SCV kills, so that's going to offset the worker count as well here eventually, too. And there's a bunch of Zealots ready to charge in. ByuN's about to have all his upgrades, but having a group of Marines across the map to just distract and so on is going to be a big deal. ByuN pulls instantly away from the third base. Of course, the Phoenix are just waiting for the right chance to move in themselves. And there's double battery in this main base. Let's see what that drop can do as Phoenix make a move forward. The Zealots are still there. ByuN is being very cautious about engaging them. I mean, drop-in batteries are just pretty good, man. He forces a warp in at home, but there was no... Okay, the Prism's here now. Okay, it's not that bad. This is literally Zealot Phoenix, by the way. It's 8 Phoenix and 21 Zealots. I'm really, like, flip-flopping around on who I like in this game, because I don't know, this feels like such a crazy setup. It feels like a lot of things that happen should really kind of have put Zest into a better position than what he's in all honesty. So ByuN is staying alive, as we're going to be seeing Zealots still moving around the right side. Phoenix are up into the middle as well, and a lone Widow Mine or 2 in the front. And that's the thing, this is so high a Phoenix count. You've got 8 Phoenix, so like Zest's actual army isn't good. The power of the Zealots was good initially. His actual armies that stood right then was not brilliant. If ByuN gets up to Ghost, then he's actually in an amazing spot when it comes to the army comps, but he's not going into that right now, and Zest is about to have Storm, so his army is improving. As we see Zealots into the main base, ByuN has not got anything in position to immediately deal with that. Additional Zealots warping in as well, so this is going to be a tricky one. As ByuN going to need those Widow Mines to show up big time. He's going to start fighting over here as well. Zest trying to push in. As ByuN losing 8 SCVs already. Honestly not trading badly though. No armor upgrade on those Zealots. It's kind of surprising that Zest just went for +1 attack. You know, when you're so Zealot heavy, you typically expect it to be an armor upgrade initially. Attack upgrades usually, you know, off of blink openers and Colossus styles. And this is going to turn into Colossus, right? But, like I say, I feel like you would have benefited more from the armor upgrade to begin with than the attack upgrade. So, that part is also interesting. But it does mean that these Colossus will have an attack upgrade now that they're on the map. So maybe this was really just the long-term plan from Zest. Maybe he didn't ever plan to be on this many Zealots, and it's just how things turned out with the way that ByuN attacked and the way that ByuN forced warp-ins. And there were opportunities that Zest maybe saw to be aggressive as well, you know? ByuN goes across the map, but with Colossi out, I don't think he's got an army to realistically push into any position at all. 16 SCVs have fallen here, so we're going to see our Phoenix moving around in the center. A couple of Widow Mines trying to burrow up right now as that Phoenix will fly in. The first medevac gets shot down already. As the Bio kiting backwards. I mean, the Phoenix are just able to lift up units as you kite as well, so this isn't exactly efficient or anything for ByuN. He is going to show up with a ton more units, and maybe this is something you can make advantage of. The High Templars didn't have energy for Storm. The Archon's going down, and ByuN's going to continue collapsing on this army. The reinforcements have caught Zest off guard, and ByuN has just crushed through this. What on earth? He drew Zest away from the front. He drew Zest away from the defensive position, and Zest just went for it. He completely believed, and ByuN just wins the fight. Oh my god, I mean, I feel like this is actually because of there's no armor upgrades. Like, you're just so Zealot heavy, no armor upgrades, everything's just dying so quickly. Oh my goodness, ByuN is low HP and he will not win the game, but he puts himself back in the game with this. Wow, that was absolutely massive for ByuN. This game is right on the edge again. Zest lost a robo facility, lost a robo base, so that slows down his Colossus tech a little bit. The Zealots do show up on the third base, saved by the Prism as they jump up into the main. Marine's already on the way over to try and deal with this, though. This is just an immediate lift up and escape away. Might be time to add a couple of Vikings on, not only up against Colossus, but just zoning this Prism away from this right-hand side and stuff would be really nice. Stop it from just sitting around all of the time. I feel like that's why Zest's already pulling it back. He's assuming there's probably Vikings, right? And there will be soon, just not yet. But of course, Zest can't tell exactly when ByuN's got Vikings. This is 2-2 versus 2-0, so no armor upgrade still. As ByuN pushes down, his army's still a little bit kind of bad and bruised. The orange and yellow health bars are not promising for him as the last Phoenix of the game goes down. EMP lands, Sentry Stalkers. I can understand why ByuN doesn't want to fight. 2 Colossi definitely is a scary proposition at the moment. You do not have a way to really fight those Colossi until they're out of position. Kind of like what we saw in the last fight, right? Army of ByuN going to call back, and we are just going to be seeing a 4th command center continuing in up on this main base. Going to be seeing everything back around the center here, and just going to be going for a set of rocks. A couple of Archons morph in from Zest down on the 3rd base. See a couple of observers on the way out as well, so a couple of observers coming through. This army of ByuN is making its way around the right side. I'm surprised we haven't seen more Colossus. You know, just sitting on 2 of them kind of feels surprising to me. You know, I guess he made Disruptors, right? Which is, you know, the Colossus build time instead. poor observer literally goes down as it spawns. Good EMP. I mean, SimCity of Zest here is horrible. It actually works against him in this scenario. As ByuN is going to stim on through. Zest not going to find the chance just yet to put those Disruptors into play. The Vikings are working their way through this. Vikings, you going to turn and fight anymore? No? That's that Prism I'm looking at as an opportunity to get some serious damage. You can pick off the Prism, of course, to get rid of those Disruptors. First Disruptor down, target fired immediately. ByuN just has too much. He'll crash through, and ByuN's going to stay alive in this finals up. It was about to be Zest up 2-0, but ByuN, what a weird... Tell you what, each and every one of the finals of these events has been absolutely spot on. The gameplay has been brilliant, the games have been fun and entertaining, and quite frankly, this one is living up to hype as well. I mean, both the previous ones went to Game 5. Couldn't mind that as a game today, but honestly, the first 2 games have been so fun. Whatever happens from here on out, it's been a great final. As in the top left, we do have our pink Protoss player. It is Zest. As in the bottom right, we've got ourselves a red Terran player. Give it up for ByuN. You guys can hear me ripping my hands together. I'm like, oh yeah, Starcraft 2! ByuN Zest Game 3, let's go. Very, very excited to see what comes out of this one. Because again, ByuN's playing, ByuN's playing like ByuN plays, right? Aggressive and so on. Again, I will go back and once again reiterate that that last game had me freaking confused. Like, I was very perplexed about, you know, it's just perplexing. What happened? Like, why was Zest not further ahead? And then he was still ahead. It just felt like he should have had more of an advantage with the way that things had gone. And then he overextends that little bit, and boom, ByuN just jumps on him. Crazy stuff here in the WardiTV Spring Championship, as Zest is going to keep it like that. A pylon down. Now down to the bottom right-hand side of the map. So what do you do off of this? I mean, it's just going to be a second gateway? Okay. I was going to say, Cybercore is not quite done just yet, right? So I was maybe going to end up waiting for tech structure, but it's kind of a weird place for like a Stargate or anything. Why not build it around the edge or so? Yeah, okay. I'm going to go for a second gate. Obviously, this is Zest, somewhat playing to what ByuN really doesn't do a lot, which is that ByuN doesn't scout. So ByuN has no idea to really pick up on this. You know, in fairness, like, you know, it's difficult to pick up on this anyway, but this is just going to be 3 gates, and I believe this is going to be a depth production. And what Zest loves to do to follow up from this is you go for a depth production, and you can follow up into, like, a resonating glaives as well. So we'll see how it develops if ByuN even survives the first round of adepts, because right now, it's going to be a little rough. You've got no bunker, you've just got pure marines, 2 adepts building at once. I mean, right now this feels okay. It's like, okay, I've got my marine count up. I should be able to do fairly okay against this. He is on 4 marines as well, which is actually pretty nice. Tech lab on the factory. Let's see if that stays on the tech lab. He builds a siege tank here. Or even a cyclone. Anything from the tech lab factory would be really good. Cyclone. It's just nice because it's additional damage, and it's almost always a guaranteed kill when it's something like a, you know, an adept or so that you lock onto. So it's really good that you're going to have a pretty good way of being able to cleave through that that kind of army. These Stalkers coming forward again. Adepts are going to shade through up to the high ground. I mean, you can just see the unit count right now is kind of crazy in favor of Zest, but you know, he doesn't have a lot of tech behind this, so if you do end up kind of losing out and you don't get enough done here, there's a problem. Nice save on that first Stalker, just gets out of range. Even then, the Cyclone comes through to help against another Adept, and I gotta say, for being blind here, ByuN has actually had a pretty good setup. He loses the Cyclone to the Stalker shots, though. That's problematic. Immediately, ByuN's like, uh-oh, run back here, because now he can't really do much else about this, right? I mean, Siege Tank about to pop. That's going to be his way to retake his natural. I'd say that this is definitely Zest getting enough done. SCV's AFK over here. The only problem for Zest is no high ground vision, but he is getting an Adept, which I imagine is going to be part of the plan to reset that a little bit. This one Adept going to come forward, going to see the Siege Tank already. And she gets full information, gets to see everything over here, so you get that info. We'll see if Zest wants to commit into a Siege Tank. There's a second one building as well, so that's the dangerous part of if you commit into this. When is the second tank going to pop out, right? He's not going to go for it. Twilight Count's on the way up, but 3 more gates. So Zest is going to stay aggressive. That's going to be 6 gates in total. So he's essentially going for a 2 base, 6k blink all in. Looking to pick ByuN apart now. He is going to build a 3rd base as well. Okay, I've got no idea, guys. Honestly, I wish I could tell you what was happening in Zest's games, but a lot of the time I just don't know. But whatever it is, it's really good. You know, you can... He goes 3 extra gates, then the 3rd Nexus. When he was under no threat of this 3rd Nexus being in trouble, I don't know why he wouldn't go for the 3rd Nexus first. That's, kind of crazy. He's going to be seeing this Adept is going to commit in, wants some friendly fire. He's been thinking about that for a while, I think, trying to get friendly fire on these few Marines. This time the tanks are going to unsiege. I don't actually think that's a chance for these Stalkers to do much, though. Marine count's pretty good right now, and ByuN's going to force this back a little further, and yeah, that's fine. More Stalkers warping in, though. Remember, 1-6 gates, so even with that 3rd Nexus, you don't necessarily have to make use of this, and I think this is where ByuN's going to fall into trouble again, because he doesn't have the information to tell him that he should not be actually pushing onto the map right now. You see all these Stalkers, I feel like that should be information that maybe you just shouldn't go for this, but I mean, ByuN is ByuN. He likes to attack. These Stalkers are going to go around the other way. Is ByuN going to make his way back to his natural? I think so. I think that's the obvious way for Zest to try and fight right now. ByuN's going to actually have to push up a ramp back into his own base. It's not ideal, is it? Zest has the mobility right now, and ByuN is in a really precarious situation where he's just not really positioned to defend anything in particular. He's about to have Stim. If these Stalkers blink in for the tanks and Stim is ready, that's actually a big deal. Stim's ready. Stim, ByuN. Go take advantage of this, I want to say, but I wasn't a Stim fast enough. He stemmed a little sooner. You maybe save a tank, or you maybe get a lot more Stalkers out of this. ByuN's going to build a new tech lab on this factory as he's mostly moved into Marauder production, so no new tanks on the way up. But he does have a bio army. Zest on 3 bases, has started to build up some additional probes. ByuN just sat back on 2, and of course, the big thing for Zest is still that he's very low tech, right? I mean, it is just going to be charge and +1 on the way now. But this is also 7 minutes in the game. Sometimes you can have charge and +1 finishing by now. So he's still low tech because of the way that this game has set up. And I think just ByuN being alive and not having taken too much economic damage here is a pretty big deal. Massive that Zest got rid of the tank count, though, because that definitely was looking to be a problem for him. And now that that's not a tank count that's too high anymore, I don't think Zest has to worry about any timings around this kind of Stim Bioforce any longer. Pushing through, ByuN's going to find the proxy gateway as well as he does chase these Stalkers back. Obviously, the blink stops you from really capitalizing on that too much unless you want to really keep on stimming, which is usually just a bait, right? You stim a game, the Stalkers just back away once more. ByuN just going to sit this back a little bit. He did go back into tank production. He's going to start moving forward here as he looks to build a 3rd CC in position. And there are a ton of Zealots on the map, and I still fear that ByuN is just a little unaware of what Zest is really up to. ByuN's going to see those Stalkers right now. He's going to stim for them, and Zest backs away. Zest has a massive... I mean, the Zealots are out of position, though. And now ByuN knows about them. I actually have no idea what happens here. ByuN's just going to pull back into his main base. Obviously, these Zealots have recall potential, so you can still just save them. I mean, really nice that he actually picked up a whole... brought the SCVs into the main already. Because without these SCVs going into the main base, you lose so much economy here. It's not good for you at all. Zest is actually continuing to fight. I don't like this at all for Zest, because he's going to lose a lot of Zealots before the Stalkers show up to the fight. So I feel like that is Zest, you know, being too aggressive and not recalling soon enough. So ByuN actually does okay fighting. He loses 11 SCVs in the end. Obviously, natural not mining during this time, so you're losing a lot of eco. At least you reset that Zealot count a little bit, because that was getting ridiculously high there. ByuN no third CC on the way once more. And the Stalkers are going to run into ByuN middle of the map. Zealots are once again, I mean, it's the exact same move. I think ByuN just goes for this time. The thing is, recall's on cooldown now. So I actually think ByuN should just commit to the fight, right? If he realizes those Zealots. I think that's why Zest pulls the Zealots back, because he realizes if he goes in, he doesn't have a recall, these Zealots are just useless, and then he's going to take a hell of a lot of damage in this process. Did ByuN see the Zealots there? That would have been a good little bit of info for him to pick up on, that these Zealots are out to that right-hand side. ByuN starting to reinforce. Zest is going to come in and surround ByuN just as the tanks have unsieged. Not the time for ByuN to be unsieging at all, and he's going to try and get out of here. Stalkers have already... Oh, no, they have a blink still available, and he finds a full medevac right away, gets another medevac with units inside. ByuN's supply is gone, and Zest is going to go up 2-1 in this best of 5. And Zest is on the verge. Follow the button, follow the stream with the follow button, and see when we go live again in the future. If this goes on YouTube, which it might as well, hello YouTube viewers, you've made it all the way to Game 4. Thank you so much for making our watch time really high. Don't forget, you guys can obviously like the video and hit that subscribe button as well. Hell yeah. Thanks for supporting us and watching us on YouTube too. So we're going to have some proxy racks from ByuN, our red terror on bottom left-hand side. Taking on the pink Protoss top right, it is going to be Zest. Will the main event next week feature the actual map pool? Yes, we will move to the new map. This is our last day of running events on the old map pool. I can't speak for the World Team League this week, and I imagine that's going to be the old map pool as well. But we will have a in WardiTV events from... This is our last day of WardiTV events with the old map pool. Obviously, just want to give the players a few days to actually play on the new maps, figure out what they want to veto and stuff. So yeah, the new maps are coming, don't worry guys. Alright, ByuN proxy Raxes. So ByuN proxy Raxen, I think this is going to be pretty fun. This is going to be Marines. Zest will go gate cybercore, but he doesn't scout on the map at all. So ByuN's getting off to a pretty good start here already. I'm just going to drop our Nexus down onto the natural. Oh, no way. Oh, Zest, he's not actually scouting for the proxy. He's just going to the far left side of the map to come across it. He's going to build a pylon. Oh my god. Zest wants to proxy a Stargate, and meanwhile there's going to be Marines. It'll just waltz up into this main. I mean, this... Yeah, you got a bunker on the natural. Probe comes down and mine. It just sees the bunker. It's a little unfortunate for ByuN, because now it gives up the idea of what's happening a bit sooner. And Zest can put Chrono Boost straight onto a Stalker here, which makes life a bit tougher, but... Okay, we'll see what Zest does around this base. I mean, he was obviously not going to build a unit, though, because he was going to proxy like a Stargate or so. So I feel like that is unfortunate. ByuN just didn't have this bunker a little bit further back. That probe getting to see it. As ByuN is going to see the Stalker now, but he's got the bunker up. This is a cancelled natural. 100% of the time this natural gets cancelled. Now we're on our way to a factory, so ByuN will be able to start making his way to a Cyclone defensively behind this. I don't know what you can do to really save this natural expansion as Zest. The thing is, you do want to let it finish, I think, because I think you need to keep these Marines on the low ground. You don't want to let the Marines just feel as though they can start kind of pushing up the ramp or going elsewhere. They can just straight up go home, right? So I think you just want to keep this Nexus to finish anyway. I mean, do you try and really actually save it, though? Probably not. We got a third Stalker on the way, but 2 SCVs that are just out of range of really being hit. They're going to keep that bunker repaired up. The Marines honestly can go around this top side as well and just hit on this Nexus without being in range of the bunker. You can see Marine there goes a bit too far forward. Like I say, I feel like these Marines right now could just stand right here and just hit this Nexus from afar. You don't need those to go in range of the Stalkers all the time. And it just helps you to guarantee that this Nexus is indeed going to go down. Which it is. I don't think, again, like I say, there was ever a way to save this once that bunker is up. It's weird, because Zest has the batteries high ground as well. I don't think he needs to let this finish. I think he should. Like, in some scenarios, maybe this Nexus finishing buys you the time to prepare on the high ground, right? And now he basically paid 400 minerals for what? Like, he could have held the high ground anyway with the Stalkers. There's no bunker up there, so... Yeah, I think it's a mistake from Zest to let that finish. This is a massive scout for ByuN. He sees this pylon. So now he knows stuff's over here, and he can go and shut down that pylon. He can go shut down the Dark Shrine, and Zest's entire game plan on the map is going to be in trouble. He's going to realize as well, I think, that there's going to be a Nexus up here because he just saw that probe coming in from the upper left, so he should at the very least check that position. He's going to get the pylon. He's going to go for the Dark Shrine. What do you do as Zest? Probably cancel and build it elsewhere. This bunker is going to go down. It killed off one Stalker more, because these Marines will fight against it. ByuN obviously still working on the Dark Shrine. Gets that cancel. Now the Twilight Council taking hits. What's the plan here? I think he's going to end up scouting for the top left. Oh, no. He misses it. Okay, ByuN doesn't see the Nexus. That's actually pretty big info he misses out on. What does Zest do, though? Do you build a new Dark Shrine? Do you just start up a Twilight upgrade? What is the best case scenario for Zest right now? I don't really know. Marine's going to try and use the high ground to get a couple Stalker kills. Chases them away. Unfortunately, doesn't quite get the kills. Good micro from Zest as he cleans up. And again, this top left base, ByuN didn't actually get to see it. As a Cyclone moves through, just going to see the Stalkers here. He's going to get a lock onto this Stalker. This is big. Once you get another Stalker kill. Any unit you just get rid of, right, as you assume Zest is maybe going to end up being aggressive. It's just a nice little pick. Especially now Zest is moving his way to Blink, so getting rid of Stalkers, remove some of the effect of this tech as well. I love this one Banshee. There's no battery in preparation either, so this one Banshee could do serious trouble. As Zest is positioned to defend the Twilight and the Gateway, he's not thinking about defending the main base, so that becomes a problem as well. So there's one single Banshee is going to cause some chaos. And even if it's just a warping back in that main base, that's a warping that's not pushing you on the front door, as ByuN right now is. Obviously, one of ByuN's bigger issues is those racks weren't home, so he doesn't have a lot of supporting units for these siege tanks. So siege tanks really are kind of on their own, but we're still also a minute away from Blink being done. ByuN brings this Banshee up. It's going to come through, and like I say, you force a couple of Stalkers to warp in. You can get some probes anyway. And you're also going to be able to get to this point where it's like, okay, you get 5 probe kills, and you force 2 Stalkers back at home. Like I say, these are Stalkers which are now not out on the map being aggressive into you. Zest is just out of here. He's out. We're going to game 5. We're going to a top left-hand side. Our final map, as we have in the top left, our Pink Protoss player from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. He's probably qualified either way. This is Zest. ByuN, the red Terran bottom right. Again, so that's the difference, because Zest already has points from previous qualifiers. Even if he loses here, he's got enough points to qualify. ByuN did not play in any other events. He does not have points. So he needs the direct qualification from winning this best of 5. A massive moment here from ByuN. Of course, Creator is cheering on Zest right now as well, because Creator is hoping that Zest can create a tiebreaker situation between him and Vivid, so that he can have another chance as well. I mean, Vivid is cheering on Zest as well, I guess, because otherwise... otherwise, he doesn't get the tiebreaker chance either. So it's a little wild here in this. I didn't realize these prelims were going to get so crazy on the points and stuff. That's pretty crazy. It's pretty hype. All right, guys. Gateway is coming through here from Zest as we set on up. Yo, thank you so much, Death Reeve, for the $5 donation. Says go ByuN. Thank you so much for the $5. Hyping up ByuN a little bit. There's another donation. Holy crap. Back-to-back donation. Gains 00 on the $10. Says keep up the great content. Absolutely will do. Hopefully with this Game 5 being some stellar gameplay as well. I tell you what, we have been looking in these finals. Time and time again, we've had really, really good finals in these cups. Even though the tournaments themselves haven't lasted too long, the finals have been absolutely stellar, like I say. It's definitely been a good reason to sit back and enjoy the games all the time. Oh, okay. Cybercore coming up. Warp Gate start. Stalker on the way in as well. As we get this running. Twilight Council from Zest. So he's going to show us a Twilight Council to start us up here. I can get behind that. Going to be seeing our Stalker patrolling at the front for the moment. Our Warp Gate's still ticking along, and a couple of additional probes continuing on out. We got ourselves a barracks on the way up in the main base. It's going to be a couple of racks. Go into the reactor on the tech lab on this factory. And this is what ByuN does all the time, right? 2 racks, a factory, you go into this marine tank setup. It's obviously what he really enjoys doing. Zest goes into gate, then the robo. Typically, if you go gate, then robo, there's a little bit more signs that you're maybe not going to go full gate, and it's going to be a bit more of a macro focus. So we'll see if that's indeed how this works out. Why are we playing on a map that's out of the map pool? Because these guys haven't had a chance to play the new map pool a lot. I don't want important matches taking place on maps the players aren't familiar with and stuff like that, you know? So give them a few days to play on the maps, especially because they weren't announced ahead of time. So just giving everyone a few days to play on the new maps before we start running our events on the new maps as well. Cyclone takes a shot here. So a Cyclone first, now going into the tank, needs to save that Cyclone. It's not really something you want to lose out on. Oh my goodness, he's going to not get the kill. Either player getting the kill there in the end. So one SCV goes down, nothing else lost. As SCV is going to go repair that Cyclone up. It is 2 more gates, so it is going to be 4 gates here. To be fair, that robo came down right after the 2nd gate, so it is going to be 4 gate blink as we get into engineering bay. Now Stimpak's going to start up soon as well. In tank production already on the way in right now, as we got ByuN. I mean, the biggest thing for him again is trying to figure out whether he should be moving onto the map or not, or whether he should be sitting back, you know? Right now, he's sitting back, but I'm afraid that ByuN gets a 2nd tank and he just goes into I must attack mode, right? Because that's what ByuN does so often. Let's see what this tank does. So he's going to move the factory off the tech lab. That's not a good sign necessarily. He does have the Cyclone around the other side. He's going to see no 3rd base, and that's massive for ByuN, as he's probably going to be able to use that to realize a little bit of what's going on here. Let's see these Stalkers coming around. He's going to be able to get some shots off on the Stalkers to begin with. That's a really good start. It actually forces the Stalkers to blink away. He's going to recall home to deal with the Cyclone that's just starting to kill probes. So this is actually massive for ByuN. He's forced Zest back home. Oh my goodness, that's going to give ByuN a ton of time to prepare. I mean, every second that Zest takes walking back across this map is a second closer to Stim being done. And for the moment, ByuN is defending. Zest drops down the robo bay. Forge coming up too. And finally makes his way across to this 3rd base location. 5.5 minutes, not the latest 3rd base. He's obviously, you know, skipping a Stalker warp into for the tech and this Nexus. But even still, right, when you build up to 4 gates of blink and now you've not really used them, it does feel like ByuN gets into a good opportunity here, right? He's back onto tank production. This is the situation where I think with 3 tanks or so, you can actually kind of get quite a bit done. Moving across the map. The question is, can you get across the map? That's going to be the big difficulty here. Can you actually get a chance to move across without being slowed down by the Stalkers too much? It's a good initial defense on the Prism. Not really much lost from ByuN once again as Zest. Okay, he's actually going to have a Marine drop going around. So ByuN just going to stay defensive. He knows these Stalkers are here and he doesn't want to try and do too much too quickly. By letting these Stalkers just kind of stay here, he's also going to wait for combat shields as well, I guess. And this could just kind of, you know, this drop could just buy him the time or pull this army back to give him the easier pathway across to the other side, right? Stalkers blink forward. The Marine's already stimmed at Zest's units, though. And Zest just slows the 3rd CC from building. Zest is actually pulling the Stalkers back home already, so he's already accepting the fact that this is going to be a little bit kind of defensive for him now. First Colossus coming out. ByuN's going to see that as he drops in here. The Colossus is going to reveal itself, so it's good information for ByuN as well with this drop, if nothing else. As the medevac, its boost comes back off cooldown. Too late to save it, though, but as previously mentioned, ByuN has taken the chance now to go across the map with multiple siege tanks. Only 1 Colossus in play. The 2nd Colossus took a little while to start there. And with siege tanks that can get siege, this is dangerous for Zest for sure. Especially, where's the Colossus at? It's actually in the back of the Naturals. Is Zest's Colossus out of position also? He needs to move that into the 3rd. Right now, as these Stalkers are in a little bit of trouble, tank gets sieged up. Does Zest know where his Colossus is? Because right now it feels like, okay, it's finally moving. Took a little while though. That Nexus taking damage. Can ByuN hold this position as Super Battery is already being used? Might want a Super Battery. He is Super Battery in the Nexus. There we go. We're going to commit to a fight very shortly here. The tanks want to target fire down that Colossus. Can they get the target fire on it? Yes, they will. Stalkers blink into the bio. ByuN is going to crush the Stalkers. The tank is gone. The Colossus is gone. And the tanks are still firing. 3rd Nexus goes down. There is going to be a new Colossus showing up. If ByuN doesn't need to fight that just yet. If he wants to fight into these tanks, Go ahead, Zest, but ByuN, that's exactly what he wants Zest to do. ByuN is going to win it out, and he's going to take it. He's going to win the qualify. He's going to qualify into the main event. It's what he needed to do to qualify today. No other result was good enough for ByuN. And I might have been a bit biased in the casting, because I was saying before, I don't really have an invite slot for ByuN if he doesn't make it into the if he doesn't qualify here. Zest qualifies anyway, right? And maybe I'm a bit biased, but I was kind of pulling for both of them to make it in. That's big for ByuN. What, like I say, he just needed to win this series. There was no other way around it, and he gets it done. GG's, ByuN 3, Zest 2, and we have got ourselves ByuN, the champion of this preliminary cup. Thanks for watching.